Welcome to Feminine Power Time. Turn off the chatter and tune in to what matters. This is Christine O'Reilly, your host, and this is a place where we reimagine the way we in the world work from the inside out, marrying well-being, leadership, and wisdom all together to take timeless wisdom of how we work best, live best, thrive best on this planet, and then modify it and apply it to our modern times. We've been here now for 9 years, and we are just 2 episodes left in our 9th series. We'll start our 10th year series in a couple weeks on the June solstice. But for whether you've been here since the very beginning, you're just joining us, or you've been here for many, many years, or just even a couple years or a couple months, it's so good to be here with you all. It's been about 3 weeks since our last episode where we had started off a podcast series called Next Phase on Purpose, creating your next phase of your career, of your life, of your design, and your leadership impact. And we are going to end the season with the second of that episode. But before we got there, I was really feeling into like, okay, how is everyone feeling out there? How y'all doing out there? Oh my goodness, right? And what do we need right now? And one of my great gifts that I get to receive in the work that I do, being able to be an advisor and a coach and a advocate and a guide for so many of the people I work with, individually and also with their teams, as I get to hear from a lot of people of what's going on. So it gives me a sense. And then also because of the many, many years I have spent really developing my connection to what we would call the field, or the field, the morphic field, my intuition, like sensing into what's going on in the field, kind of bring those things together and say, okay, what's needed now? And this is also why I can't really do like 8 weeks of podcasts before I before I drop in with all of you. A lot of times it's pretty real time. And the episode today I'm titling for us, Replenish Your Radiance, Root into What's Real. So as we land here today, this is really meant to be a permission slip for you, wherever this finds you in the world, to slow down in some ways and give yourself permission. Slow down, but I don't mean like, turn off the world and turn off everything and just, lay on the couch and sit like a log. That's not what I'm meaning. What I mean in slow down is the wisdom teaching that says when the world gets more chaotic and more intense, the wise ones slow down. We root in even deeper, like a tree, to what is real. We allow those roots and also the branches and the leaves to take in the nutrients that we need. We feel our connection to this amazing root system that you and I are part of, with so many other beings on the planet that too are here to reimagine the new and not run back to the old, although we're all experiencing that at some level ourselves. This has been happening for years. We've been talking about this, how we are in a stage of transformation that is about releasing and healing the past and the old, and stabilizing in the now and creating the new. It's called the Triangle of Sacred Transformation. I've done multiple podcasts on it. I have videos on it on my YouTube channel and on my blog site as well. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check it out. I'll put it in the show notes. But just imagine a triangle with all 3 of those points. And so it's been intense, and it's not just this year. It's been going on for a long time, years, you all. And so we're at a breaking point, a tension point in the world where the tension is so intense. So in times of intensity, what I found when I was doing all of my research around sustainable success, and as I was writing Overwhelmed and Over It, one of the things that was so clear, I'm just going to see if I can find it here in the book, is a couple things. One, rhythm is really important. We need to have a rhythm, not a routine, but a rhythm that helps us stay centered and sustained, and that a sustainable life has varying levels of pace, daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly, not just one continuous push where we just think if I just keep going, something's going to change, something might change and it'll all be better, or not even, or just being fragmented and being all over the place. So in these times of intensity, one of the things that's really important is that we're varying, just like a concert, just like a symphony, that you're varying your levels of pace from intensity to flow to replenishment. And when we're practicing that in order to really create harmony inside of our own ecosystems, our personal ecosystems, our family ecosystems, our team ecosystems, the parts of our companies that we work in that we have control over. We don't have control over the bigger world, but there's a lot of places we do have control and influence. So if we can set a rhythm to those systems and places and spaces and groups and communities and family systems and team systems and our own personal ecosystem that vary between this replenishment, flow, intensity, then we will create a rhythm that sustains us even through the biggest of storms. Because even in a big storm, like, I'm here in Asheville where we had a hurricane in October, and it didn't just keep raining. It just didn't just keep raining. The winter was actually pretty quiet and pretty dry, and that was needed. And so, think of this in our own lives, how we've started this year and how intense the first 5 months have been. And as I said, it's been a lead up to that. And so many of us have our reserve tanks of our radiance, our reserve tanks of our life force, our reserve tanks of our faith, our reserve tanks of our hope, our reserve tanks of just the sheer effort to be able to, and resilience to get things done that needs to get done. And whether that is changes that have been happening in your own life, where you have been, or you've been an agent for change or going through a change in a family system, in your work system, in a community system, like it's a lot. It's a lot, you all. And I just want to acknowledge that for all of us. Just taking a little sip out of my nurture mug here. Because in that allotness, if we don't, and I found it here on page 256, in times of intensity, I downshift and replenish at the end of every day and week. And then I would add throughout the year, there are particular times where we have to downshift and replenish. And in times of intensity, I ask for and receive more support and more connection. Those are two self-sustainability stands that are essential. And it seems like in times of intensity, it would be the opposite, right? We should just keep going. We should just keep pushing. Or maybe for you, you're experiencing a place in which like you don't feel like you have the energy, you're tired, or you don't have the money or the resources that you might want or need. And whatever that is for you, regardless, I'm calling us all. I'm imploring us all. I am giving us all one big, huge permission slip for in this next cycle. And so for some of us, that's going to be summer in the Northern Hemisphere. For others, it'll be winter in the Southern Hemisphere. For those that are at the equator line, it's kind of, like it is all the time, but it's still the middle of the year. And we have things like, people keep kids not being in school. So there's like little things that, help, holidays and vacations that can help us do this. But the reason I put this in the center of our next phase on purpose is because if we don't mindfully, consciously replenish on all four levels, body, mind, heart, and spirit, and just start to slow down with me here and just notice the state of your mind and its level of tiredness or its level of clarity, its level of capacity to make decisions, was talking to a good friend of mine who is going through a health challenge with her partner, and they've had to make so many choices. She and I were talking last week, and I said to her, "You have decision fatigue." Honey, you have decision fatigue, and your mind is tired. That's a real thing. And the two of you have really met the need, like the intense, like when you have a health situation that happens and you have to like really just face it and be with it. They really faced it, and they've had hard decisions to make and things to go through. And I said, and you know what? You've set a good enough foundation for now. And now it's just about living and being in the present moment and responding. So if you're not wanting to post on social media right now, or you're not feeling, like you have something you want to say to somebody, or like, it's okay. Your mind just needs to replenish. And we have that too in our emotion, our heart, right? So just again, we're slowing down here, just sensing in to your own mind, and also now the state of your own heart and your own emotional body. Said this many times that in yogic science, we actually have 10 bodies. We have 3 mental bodies. We have an emotional body. We have a subtle body, which is connected to our emotional body. I won't get into all of that. But we don't just have a physical body, which is really the way that Western medicine and the modern medicine system has held it. We now acknowledge that there's a mind and a body connection, but still don't acknowledge the emotional part. And I like to say the emotional part of us and our emotional bodies are Siamese twins with our mental bodies and our state of our mental state. They're not separate. And when I look at the statistics of, and I've looked at these for years, of 1 in 3 women are dying of heart disease. That used to be 1 in 4, and men aren't far behind that. It's not just because of the food that we eat. It's because of the pressure of the things that we're just seeing, the heartbreak that happens, of seeing how there's this lack of humanity that is showing up right now to be really in our faces, which has been going on for a long time. And one of the things that why I'm pausing us here is that I believe, and you don't have to believe this, but I'm going to say it out loud more on this in season 10, is that part of what we're seeing right now is it's like the shadow of humanity and the things that have happened on this planet are so in our faces that we can't look away. And we've been able in some ways to separate those things in different ways, and sometimes put them under the rug collectively, whether that was how this country of America was really taken in many ways from the native people who lived here, or things where we have religious establishments where there is really challenging things and awful things that have happened, and we kind of just want to, the establishments want to put it under the rug, or we have created a culture that puts money and greed and profit above people, and the rich taking and the poor not having. It's been around for a long time, but it's hard on our human hearts, right? Like, it's a lot. And I know for myself, and just starting to kind of feel into your heart center as we're exploring this. I mean, feminine power time, this is embodied, you all. This isn't just in our mind. So I'm really encouraging you to turn off the outside world and just really be here with me, and be here really with yourself, and be here with the rest of us who we just need to pull back a bit right now, not to close it down, not to shut it down, not to not be aware of what's happening. Like, that's not what I'm taught. That's not this time. But to pull back our efforting, maybe to, instead of 110%, we pull back our efforting to about 70%, so that we can take that extra 30% and start to replenish these parts of ourselves. So like our hearts, that I noticed that the other day in my meditation, that because I check in with my body, mind, heart, and spirit every morning and attune to the frequency and see where it is that I had built some protection around my heart because the level of caring that I have for people and the planet and life on it, just I had to put some protection fields up because I just, otherwise I was just going to never get out of bed. And so I'm slowly shifting those and opening those slowly, so that I can stand in my full power and presence and be the presence I'm here to be at this time in a way that actually we work the equation of do less, receive more, achieve a greater impact. So instead of just wasting my chi, spewing more information, spewing more content, spewing more stuff, talk, see me. So much content out there. It's overwhelming. And I'm just really sitting with like what really matters. You've all heard me say that there's a vow in the sacred feminine, which is allow the silence I break. Allow the words I speak to be worthy of the silence I break. And what I know is that when we chatter less and we speak more from our heart and our body and our clarity and our wisdom, that's when things land. So I'm hoping today is that for you. It's been about 3 weeks. Like I said, I wasn't feeling it. So I didn't want to just press record to chatter at you all. So I'm really inviting us to feel that for ourselves, right? It's like, what's your heart going to need to replenish? What does it need to replenish? And this is we're going through these 4 centers: body, mind, heart, and spirit. We've touched on mind, heart, tuning into your body. And our body is easier to see because it has aches and pains and all of those things. But those aches and pains, or we feel sluggish, or we feel tired, or we feel like inflamed, or whatever it is, those all started in our pranic body, our breath body, our subtle body, and our emotional and mental field before they even took root into our physical body. And I was talking to an amazing, very powerful woman who has lots of energy and who has not been able to shake probably maybe an extra 30, 40 pounds on her body. And there's reasons why our body locks up and protects us by carrying on to weight. There's reasons why our hormones, go sideways and things happen. And it took us time to get there, so it's going to take us time to release that. I remember when I got to the place where I was like, okay, my body needs a reset. And I said, I spent the last 2 years really focusing on bringing my body back into its natural shape. And that took 2 years of really getting to the root of what was there. And some of it was physical, but a lot of it was hormonal. A lot of it was energetic. A lot of it was things like unease in my body and just deeper things that are going on in there. And so your body might need more than just this season, but for right now, I want you just to kind of sense into like, how is your body and how is your life force feeling? That's the life force part. If your mind body is really about clarity so that the wisdom and the insight can come through. And your heart is that emotion, that feeling, the compassion, the care. Your body's your life force. It's like your energy charge. Talking to her from the other day, and she was yawning. Are you tired? Is your body tired? Like, what does your body need to replenish? And again, just starting to slow it down a little bit more and just kind of remembering, like, just feeling into your body, feeling all the different parts and all the different places. And what would replenish your body? And maybe what's draining it? Sometimes we talk about this when we talk about our stress personality and our stress crutches in the Stay Harmonized methodology, is that we use stress crutches to deal with stress. And they can be crutches, and that's okay. Like, crutches are needed sometimes. But when a crutch becomes a habit or becomes a pattern, that's when it becomes an addiction, or that's when it becomes chronic and toxic to the body and to the being. So it's good. We all have crutches. I have them too. And then it's like, okay, what, instead of leaning on this crutch, maybe I need to go to the well. I need to drink some water. Not real, it could be real water, but just that there's something that, what if you set down that crutch? What have been the crutches you've been using to physically manage pressure or stress? And then the last one is spirit. We're looking at this. And again, the bigger question here is, what is needed to replenish your radiance? And I'm going to say this summer, if you're in the northern hemisphere, or this winter in the summer, and if you're in the southern hemisphere, or just maybe through August, let's say the holidays. I'm going through August 17th. So you can pick any day you want. I picked August 17th because it is the half moon waning, which is the wise woman moon. And you could pick the full moon of August. That's August 11th or 10th, I think. You could pick the end of July. You could pick 6 weeks from now. And if you're listening to this some other time, it's okay. Just pick a time span and say, okay, I'm going to spend 40 days. I'm going to spend 120 days. I'm going to spend 30 days. I would do at least 40 to really replenish my radiance. And remember, your radiance is your light. And so this is where it gets into the spirit part. Your spirit is your passion. It's that connection to your purpose. It's when your spirit is high, like your radiance is high, your light is high, like your wings are spread, and you could fly. But when our wings have been moved around, and I love in traditional Chinese medicine, they actually have a name for the spirit body, which is our Shen body. You can tell oftentimes when your spirit's out of whack, you'll look in the mirror and you'll be like, why don't I look like myself? Like your hairs will literally look like it's off and you're just off. That usually means your Shen body has been knocked off of center. And so our spirit needs to be replenished. And so for me, it's creativity and it's traveling and it's connection. There's so much my spirit gets replenished. Like I'm clapping my hands right now. That replenishes my spirit and my passion when I don't feel connected to other humans, and I don't feel connected to positivity. My spirit just wanes, and I'm like a little flower or a little birdie whose wings don't work. And so just kind of thinking about that for your own spirit. And it would help to write these down. I'll put a link in the show notes to this model. It's called the 4 realms of well-being, radiance, and resiliency that I developed. It's not just my wisdom. My deal is I take timeless wisdom and then I translate it for our modern times. But in any well-being system, in my mind, that's worth its that actually is holistic, you have to have all 4: body, mind, heart, and spirit. So just notice that. Start to open up your eyes and notice how few, even in the realms of more conscious places, will say body, mind, and spirit, but you won't see the heart. And the heart is distinct. And in a lot of more mainstream pieces, you'll just see mental or physical well-being. You won't see emotional well-being and spiritual well-being. So I'm inviting you to expand into a more holistic way of looking at it. And remember, the number 4 is the number of stability. 4 is a chair, it's a table, it's the 4 directions. So in your own personal ecosystem, so when we work with ecosystems, you have this ecosystem. And there is body, mind, heart, and spirit. And so my inquiry to you is, will you give yourself permission to replenish your mind, your body, your heart, and your spirit this next summer, this next winter, this next cycle? How will you, first of all, that's the first part. And I'll share more how we do that in a moment. But why would that matter to you? One of the things I realized when I was researching, this is back in my self-love days, of what was self-care and why is it so hard for us to make the decision that supports us? We all know the things to do. That's not the problem. And it's the same thing with well-being. We all know the things to do. Why don't we do them? And it wasn't about not knowing what to do. It was that we couldn't give ourselves permission to spend the time, spend the money, put ourselves as a priority above other priorities, make ourselves part of the whole, believe that we could, even in the midst of a full life, find space for us. And the thing is, and you've heard me all say this, and this is like the fierce feminine, here she comes, like this is like smack dab in the middle of the precipice of overwhelmed and over it, and how we break out of these self-sacrificing, burnout, non-sustainable realities that we are experiencing in our own personal ecosystem, that we are seeing all over in the unsustainability of what's happening in the bigger world, and this push for more and more and more and more and more. All of it is still, it's inside of us. And the system will take everything we give it, and there will still be more. There will still be more. And there's always more things to do. And there's always a way that we could feel like we don't have enough in order to do X, Y, or Z. And so what I'm inviting you in is like is a radical act at some level, is taking a stand as an advocate for yourself right now, here with me, that I actually need to replenish my mind. I need to replenish my body. I need to replenish my heart. And I need to replenish my spirit. And just take a moment here with yourself. Maybe put a hand on your heart, a hand on your belly. You spread that hand where your thumb goes right above your navel and your pinky touches your pubic bone. That'll connect you into all of those parts, body, mind, heart, and spirit. And just take a breath into this beautiful instrument. You can even imagine yourself like a tree with roots going down into that terra firma and branches opening up to receive the light. So the nutrients coming up, the light coming down, and then your trunk strengthening, and at the center, your heart, and feeling connected to yourself and your own sovereignty and your own beauty, and then feeling and sensing that there are all these other trees that you're connected to. And for a moment, letting everything else fall away. To just be here now, centered in yourself. And tuning into your deeper wisdom. To ask yourself, what do I need this, and put your cycle in summer, winter, next 40 days. What do I need to replenish my radiance? What do I need to replenish my mental well-being, my clarity? What do I need to replenish my heart? That emotional well-being. What do I need to replenish my body? And replenish means to receive. So if you're feeling into this, it's like you're receiving. What do you need to receive to replenish your body? And what do you need to replenish your spirit? And this may be things that you are already planned, or it might be things that you're waffling on, or things you've been toying with. This is that point of like actually grabbing onto them and say, you know what? No, this really matters to me. It's really easy for us to say, I don't have the money, I don't have the time, there's too much to do. But if you don't create the space, it's just like a forest that like closes and you won't get it, which is a difference between, I always say, don't be wise, don't be a dummy pants. So we can tell when we're spending too much money on something that's not going to give us what we really want to be replenished, because we can feel that it's we're like grasping. It feels airy, not grounded. And we'll get to that. We're going to talk about rooting into what's real here. Is that sometimes we think, oh, this will, I'm going to take this trip and this will replenish me, but then it's really just like eating a brownie. It doesn't give us like that deep nourishing. And so as you're feeling into this today, I want to just invite you all to just really use this and feel into rooting into what's real. Sometimes we think, oh, I'll go spend time with my family. That'll really lift up my spirit. But then it's like, that actually is more work. It spends more energy. And so, or if you're going to do it, how do you do it in a way that replenishes you? So it's really want to give you permission to slow down and feel into these things of like, will this replenish? Or will it just be like quick hit of sugar? And quick hits of sugar are not what we're after. They can be simple things, but it's like when I eat a brownie that comes from the chocolate place that's over here, and I have my little coffee and I sit outside and I have my book and I'm reading it and it's all part of the experience, that is replenishing. When I say to Noah at 8:00 at night, oh my God, can you go get me some brownies? And then I have a brownie, it's not so replenishing. I wake up tired the next day. It gives me a little hit, but there's a bigger thing I'm looking for there, which is comfort. I'm looking for comfort. I mean, who wouldn't be looking for comfort, right? So this is where also in sweetness, it's like, so if you can see the quick hits that you're taking in that you think are going to give you something, but then you just wake up tired the next day, takes your body longer to process, or you put emotional stuff into it. It's like I'll watch this one TV show that just has like fun and adventure in it because I'm craving fun and adventure. But if I keep watching that show, I get a little hit, but then I wake up tired because I'm watching it at 10:00 at night. And I know better. Like I literally teach like part of the Stay Harmonized methodology, that last hour. In the first hour, most important, it goes to bed with you. And I should not, and I know better not to do it. But I have been watching myself in all of this. Like I'm sharing this with all of you because I'm getting signs from the universe. Here's an example. I have been saying to the universe, I need to be in person. I need to be in person to fill my spirit up with other co-generative people who are conscious and are part of creating a better world. I don't want to be the one who gathers them. I need to go be where they are. And I had this, and I need to travel. Like I need to just not be just in my day today. And so I ended up stumbling upon this Enneagram deeper thing that's happening in Europe. It's called Enneagram Europe summer retreat or something. And these people have been studying the Enneagram for a long time. Many of you know I use the Enneagram in my leadership work and my teamwork. I use it for myself. Like it's just one of my top 4 tools for understanding and systems that I work with. And I was like, can I just go to that retreat, like fly to Europe for like 5 days and then just fly home? And I'm watching myself trying to build this whole trip around it and add things onto it, which is always where I get into trouble. I always get myself into trouble and actually end up spending more life force and resources and radiance when I try to add things on instead of just allowing something to be what it wants to be. And I was talking to my same friend the other week, and she's like, Christine, full permission for you to go and just go to this retreat because you want to. And I said, I can feel it in me that like there's a part that says, I don't deserve that, which is so weird because like in my mental mind, I don't believe that, but there's some part in me that's in there. And then another part where I'm watching other people taking these trips to Europe, and I'm like, why I feel so sad. Like, oh my gosh, like, why can't I go? And there's lots of reasons, right? It's like, well, it's like the world's crazy. The economy's nuts. Like you should save your money, like all these things. And again, it's like, don't be a dummy pants. I'm like, I'm not going to go to Europe and spend $15,000 and go to, do all these different things. But it's it's like that part of sufficiency. Lynn Twist, who wrote The Soul of Money, talks about this. If you haven't read The Soul of Money, read The Soul of Money. It's one of the best books. It's been around for 20 years. I pull it out every couple of years and open it up like an oracle. And when we operate from sufficiency, time, money, energy, resources, we create realities that are harmonious, even if our mind says, that's crazy. Because what I know is that when I travel and I'm with really conscious people and I have space just with myself and I get to dive into the mystic, good things always happen for me after I go deeper with the Enneagram. Always happens, because now I have even more access to this tool I've been working with for 20 years that I can bring to the people that I work with. And so I have to trust that. And I've been watching myself, trying to find evidence to like work myself out of it. And there's so many signs. Like, this is the piece of why working with our wise eyes and our intuition, your intuition is so important, because there's like these little signs that are unmistakable. Like for me, for example, this retreat's happening in the Netherlands. And I was thinking about going, and I go to the pottery to do my pottery one weekend, and I'm standing in line at the coffee shop. And there are these people behind me, a group of them, and they're speaking a language they're speaking English, but they have an accent that's not American. And the barista asks where they're from, and they literally, you all said, the Netherlands. I'm like, I've never heard a human say the Netherlands. I've of course heard people use Amsterdam, but I've not really ever heard that. And I was like, are you kidding me? The people right behind me are from the Netherlands. And then Noah and I were out at dinner a week ago after my spirit and heart had a big hit to do some of the governmental shenanigans and power archy shenanigans that are going on in America, and my fear that humanity is going to destroy itself, and my just aghastness of the power of greed. And it was really hard. I got kind of pummeled, and we were at dinner, and Noah said, "Look up." He had just gotten back from his Taoist class. He does Qigong and Tai Chi. I'm going to bring this around to you, so just hold on. This is all going to weave together. And his Sifu, which is like the person that teaches the classes, who's in his 70s, have been talking about yellow dragons. And it was interesting because yellow is the color of self-empowerment. It's the color of our Dan Chen, our center point in our body, where kind of your diaphragm is. And so I looked it up, and what came up was this blog post with this Taoist. This would be the segue. This Taoist piece of wisdom. And hold on, I wasn't gonna share it with you, but now all of a sudden I texted it to my friend. So here's what it is. And then I was like, okay, I'm supposed to go. I'm going to Europe. Okay, here it is. Here's a wisdom bite. Chinese proverb. In times of great winds, some build bunkers, others build windmills. So, windmills, they're in Amsterdam in the Netherlands. So, I'm going, it's stretching me to give myself that permission, and I needed my friend to do that for me. So this might be and need some help for you to get some support. And I'm going to give you some good reasons why, and this will make some sense to those of you that will help you understand why it's so important right now, because we need to replenish. And I'm using replenish instead of recharge, because it's not just our life force. Recharge to me always feels like, okay, pulling in my life force. It's our light that is our radiance that is taking some of the biggest hits right now that is invisible. And so in order for us to be like a candle that continues to burn for many, many years to come, instead of we burn out or we get blown out, we want to take these spaces to, again, just pull back to 70%. You don't stop. And for lots of us, we're in the in-between space too. This is why I did the Becoming Something New episode before this. And then I'll do one more episode on kind of looking back in some of the bigger questions, inquiries we want to make before we decide where to put our energy. And this is so that's why all this is, yeah. Okay, let's take a pause so we can wrap this up in some Taoist wisdom. Okay. So remember, make sure, body, mind, heart, spirit, what do I need to replenish my radiance? Your radiance is your light. Yeah. And I'll just say one other piece. How your radiance impacts your mind is it's how the insights come in. It's how the intuition comes in. And when your mind is tired or it's full of the negative mind or the overpositive mind are running you versus the neutral mind, you make bad decisions, you can't see clearly, you get confused, things are cloudy. So that's how radiance affects your mind. Radiance affects your heart, your light affects your heart because it's your attractor field. It's your magnetic field. It's like that, the capacity to find and see love and joy, even in times of grief, even in times of hardship. It's like no one can touch that diamond heart. It's called the diamond heart within you because that light it's there. And when you can't find it yourself, it's like the universe sends by a puppy, it sends by a bird, it sends by a tree. It's like that's why being in nature and looking, because we are nature, remember. So being with nature, which is part of our family, being with nature really so good for all of these channels, really lights us up. Creativity opens up our heart, and that's another way that we feed our heart. Anything that feels creative. And then light in our body, oh my gosh, I mean, it's just so healing. I oftentimes just breathe light into my body in the mornings in my spine, or I go out and I make sure one of the first things I do is put my feet on earth. It's part of the way I keep my light and my life force and my radiance high. And then spirit, light, it's like what keeps that spirit light and not heavy and laden down. And this is all important to share these two pieces of kind of a construct to think about it, why it matters. So in Taoism, and this came through Noah, through his teacher, but it made all the sense when we were at that dinner, and I was like, I needed to remember, right, I don't need to build a bunker, be a windmill. And windmills are amazing because they work with the wind, and they have a naturalness to them, and they can they keep the Netherlands apparently from going underwater. So they're very efficient, and they have lots of good things to teach us. I'm like, I don't want to build a bunker and go underground, but I also want to be able to move with the wind without getting toppled over. It's kind of an interesting thing, like a tree or a windmill. They don't topple over in the wind, but they do sway and they do move. And I learned that even the windmills, they'll move the wind, the gales, the sails to face the wind, or not face it, but to work with the wind, just like sailing, right? But we don't lose our centerboard. So this is connected to the principle of 70%, not 100%, creating a consistent rhythm and beat instead of getting blown around by the wind or bunkering down. So when you think of your life force and you think of your radiance and your light, put your hands in front of you and hold it like you're holding an energy ball. You're holding a ball, a beach ball, but in the middle of your hands is this ball of light. It's your energy. And if you just move your hands really slowly, you could actually even feel the energy between your hands. This was a game that Noah played with me on our third date in Chicago. We were at a wine bar with board games. Everyone else was playing Yahtzee, and we were playing energy ball games. I thought he was nuts, but I had never done this before. I grew up on the south side of Chicago, you all. We did not know about energy. I thought energy just came out of the plug, right? But when the more and more I started working with the subtle energy and just move your hands and just kind of move them slowly, I could start to feel it, And so if you're putting your hands in front of you and you're moving your hands, there's the first phase, the first part that we have to do to make sure we have life force and light. And for those of you who have the Overwhelmed and Over It book, I make sense of this in a very practical way in section 2, which is all about your life force. Talk about cultivating your life force. So it's I'm moving my hands and you're moving your hands, we have to cultivate our life force. So it's like we're cultivating, it's why we do the pranayama, it's why we do yoga, it's why we do things that move our breath. Like exercise is really good. It's why like I sit in the sun and I just receive like light. It's like why forest bathing works. There's so many things. It's why we eat good food. It cultivates our chi, our life force, our prana. And so you have to cultivate it, just like you have to cultivate a garden in order to be able to, get enough food to be able to eat. So there's this cultivating of the things that we do that cultivate our life force and our light. So if you cultivate it, acupuncture is really good for this too, right? It stimulates the energy. So now the second part, and this is the part that a lot of us fail at, is condensing. So it's like if you bring your hands in a little bit more, almost like you're bringing it in, so you're condensing all that energy, and then just hold it for a moment. You're condensing that energy, you're retaining the energy, you're reserving the energy, you're gathering the energy. You're not spending it right as it comes in. So many people, the way we live is we replenish our energy, cultivate it by sleep, because sleep does basically cultivate our energy and our light. And or we, go to church on a Sunday, or we do a meditation or a yoga practice on a Thursday. But then we skip the condensing. We just let it condense for just a moment. We go right to issue. So then take your hands and go whoosh and just put the energy out. So it's like you just put all fingers up and out. We spend it. We make something. We create something. So we're cultivating the energy and then we're issuing it out. This is where Tai Chi and Qigong really, it works it because you're feeling that energy and you're moving your body and you're cultivating it. But if you don't condense it into your body, mind, heart, and spirit, into your personal ecosystem. And then just like money, just like Lynn Twist talks about with sufficiency, you do save some of that. And you save more than enough of it. You don't save excess. You don't become a hoarder of it, but you gather. That's how you get stagnation. That's how you get greed. It's just like in your own body, you condense it, you retain it, you reserve it, gather it, and then you issue it. But you don't issue all of it, you issue some of it, and you retain the other part still for yourself. This is so primary. I think many of you have heard me talk about this. It's also in Overwhelmed and Over It in the Life Force section about how I realized I had this cycle of cultivate, issue, or relax and rest, and then just give. And I was skipping the receive and retain part. And it wasn't until working with my acupuncturist many years ago, Dr. Fang in Oakland, and after a year of working with me, he helped me found my burnout pattern. My burnout I call it the burnout cycle. And every 3 months I would get sick. Every 3 months I'd end up on his table, put the needles in me, recultivate my life force. And then I would go and I would spend it all. And then I would come back and we'd do it again. And after a year, he caught on to me. And I came in one day, and instead of putting needles in me, he put his hands on my belly. And he said, Christine, retain. And I was like, epiphany. I had never considered that. I mean, I get it. Like on a financial level, we're taught to save our money, right? Retain money so that if there's a challenge, you have a reserve to spend from. But even more than that, it's like having enough so that there's sufficiency to operate and not be flung around by the outside world. And the same thing goes with our own energy. And why it's so important to understand how your energy works, body, mind, heart, and spirit, how your natural rhythms work, how we set a rhythm to our day, our month, our week, our year. It helps cultivate that energy. And when you track your life force and radiance every day by checking in on what is my life force, this is the life force reading and receiving practice, and then asking, what do I need to receive today? Like, just try that right now with me. Just take a moment. Put a hand on your heart, hand on your belly so you can check in with yourself and just take a reading on a scale of 0 to 100, with 100 being full, 0 being empty, 50 being half. What's your life force right now? Your energy. And just ask for a number. Usually the first number that comes is the number. And then I also like to check in on my light. I say, okay, what's my radiance today? Same scale, 0 to 100. And then asking what you need to receive today. So tune in. What do you need to receive today? And you can do it for this week or even this next cycle, like what you need to receive. This is a very simple practice. One of the top 5 practices for retaining your life force, replenishing your radiance. So if your number, the beauty of this system is that if you're below 50 on your life force, you are serving from your reserves. You want to find your normal. Most people's normal is somewhere between a 65 and an 80-ish 5, somewhere in there for life force. My radiance is always higher. It's usually in the 80s. My life force is usually in the 70s. And as long as it's there, I know that I'm good. And I still do this, even though now I have an aura ring, which is lovely, very helpful. But I never want to lose that connection to my own body. It's helpful to have these devices that help us, but at the same time, we can't give all of our power to it. We should be able to tune in and say, okay, where is my life force? Scale of 0 to 100. Where is my light and my radiance? So that you have a relationship with these things. And if you really want to add in here, check in with your body, mind, heart, and spirit every day, just to get a sense of where you're at. And then I also, with my body, mind, and heart and spirit, after I've checked in with where they're at, I attune my mind to stillness. I tune my heart to love. I tune my body to breath. And I tune my spirit to connection. This is a practice. I haven't put this up on my YouTube yet. It's one that I've been teaching to my clients in the feminine wisdom way. But you could try that just easily enough for yourself right now. It's like this practice of being in relationship to these centers and being in relationship to your energy. And here's why this matters. From a co-creative perspective, you and I are here to be co-creators. And if we're just keeps giving our energy and issuing that energy without actually condensing it, it doesn't get enough power. It's kind of like a plant that doesn't get the nutrients it needs, so it never really fully blooms that year. We want whatever you're creating next to bloom. And we want you to have, to give yourself the space to condense that energy to replenish your reserves more than enough. So pulling back to 70% and really giving yourself permission to be pretty fierce about where you're giving your energy to and where you're not. When I was talking to my friend whose partner's having these health challenges, she knows the 4 things that she's saying yes to. And if they don't fit into that this year, they're a no for now, just for this season. So even for you, for right now, is like, what can you say, what are those 4 things that really matter in this next season? If you missed the spring power pause that we did, the personal leadership spring power pause that Catherine Tarini and I did for emerging and established leaders, for those who guide and support others, you go to springpowerpause.com. You can still do it, even if it's not spring, wherever you are. I just did it for myself this morning and did it all the way through August 17th. So I decided to choose basically a 2.5 month arc. So it's a great, easy practice. There's a video in there. There's a guidebook, springpowerpause.com, and it's based on the work that Catherine and I do with teams, and also taking that with some of the work we've been doing for 10 years for people around power pausing and co-creating. And then we just really honed it in around your work in the world and your well-being foundation. So springpowerpause.com. That'll help you get clearer on what to focus on in this cycle. And then it's really much more easy to take that 70% and then have that extra 30% and then allow yourself the space to be able to create and do things, then you can pick it back up as we go into the next cycle. That's the beauty of cyclical living. We work in these cycles and these time spans. Oh my God, it does so much for our psyche and our mental bodies, but it also really helps us with all the other parts, because there are things that you're here to create. There are things, changes that you want, and we are not outside of the external circumstances or the cosmological universal energies that are happening. So how we work with that as we get clear on this cycle now. And I'll just say one other piece on this is that this is very similar to the downshifting practice that I teach. There's a podcast on downshifting you can listen to, but there's 4 parts, which is relax. You have to let your system relax in order to receive, relaxing the tension. So there's been a lot of tension these last 5 months. When are you going to give yourself the space to have a longer relaxing of the tension? Some people are like, but I'm bored now, but I'm bored. And we like to say, don't mistake peace with boredom. After we relax, then we can rest. And rest means being just in the now. It's being in the present moment, being here now without like having to move forward into the next thing. So this part of rest is not just like sit on the couch and do nothing. It's allow yourself to be just in the present moment for this time cycle. And wake up each day and be like, okay, what's for today? What's for today? What's for today? What's for today? And if you know what you're focusing on in the time span, you'll still be replenishing yourself because you won't feel that pressure to be in the next. You'll be able to stay in the now. And then that allows you to get to the 3rd phase, which is replenish, which is what this is all about, replenishing your radiance. So that if you think of yourself like a chalice or like a well, it's like you can really refill and you can receive at all these different levels. And then you'll have energy. The 4th stage is to regenerate, which means to like turn the ignition on, to move into action. So it gives you a nice runway to play with the things that you know are coming next for you, hence the next phase on purpose, without having to figure it all out, make it all happen now, or just pull the frickin' covers over your head and build a bunker. Not time to build a bunker, my friends. We need each one of you to be in your full light and radiance, but that doesn't mean be superhuman. It doesn't mean be superhuman. It doesn't mean be a martyr. And it doesn't also mean just dimming down and not playing, because we need every single one of us to play, not in the game that the dream that some would want to create that would to bring this distortion even more into place, but to really bring forward the possibility into reality that is just as real and potential as what we're seeing on the screen right now. And it is happening, but we have to have eyes to see and we have to have ears to hear. And we cannot do that. We're fucking tired. So it's okay to pull back. It's okay to give 70%. It's okay to take that 30%. It's okay to play and experiment and dream. And also bring those dreams into reality as sprouts. Or I was talking to a friend of mine who, after 30 years in his corporate career, is what I call taking a 0 year. He's like, I just don't feel like working. And I'm like, yeah, you need a 0 year. So if something comes to you and it feels good, you can say yes, but you're not looking for anything, and that's okay. It's a 0 year. And 0 years are neutral years where we reset. So maybe it's not a whole year for you, but we can take this time to replenish. And so then the last part in ending is to remember to root into what's real. Part of what will suck your radiance out like no one's business is getting sucked in the drama that is happening, and all of the smoke and all of the mirrors and all of the stuff that is distracting us from realizing and embracing that you and I, my friend, have the power within us to create the world that we wish to live in, not just for ourselves, but for the generations to come and the people and the beings on this planet. We live here too. And there is no savior who is going to save us. There is nobody that is so powerful that they are going to come and protect us. Protect us from what? When we center in our humanity, in our heart, in our connection, our interconnection on this planet, the possibility for human ingenuity and innovation and compassion, I mean, the wisdom teachers have said, like, we can reverse what has happened, not to go back, but to go forward, to expand and to elevate in a much shorter time than it's taken to get us here. But we are at choice points. And so it's a lot. So there is no harm in taking a deep breath and really be aware of what's real and what you're rooting into. Facts, real facts. This is why I love Heather Cox Richardson. If you are not familiar with her on Substack, she's one of my sources of information. She kind of just lays out the facts. She's a historian, and it really helps sort out what's real and what's not. The earth is real. Get yourself on it. Be with it. You live on it. You're a global citizen of Earth. I mean, that's the truth. Humanity is real. Humans are real. There are good humans on this planet, many of us, that are not been overtaken by the disease of greed. Find them, see them, be in connection with them. Open your heart to people. Sufficiency, that's real. I believe that with all my heart. There is interference, and it's really trying to come in there. But I do believe that life provides sufficiency. And there's a lot of interference trying to mess with that right now. But you can root into your own sufficiency, and it starts with your own personal ecosystem. So be careful and be aware of how you're interacting with things like AI, which is a tool, not a replacement. Social media, difference between being inspired and scrolling until your whole energy system has interference. Be aware of the modern media system, which needs to basically have crazy stuff going on to make people watch it and works on fear. Root into what's real, what you can see, what you can feel. I think spirit's real. I think grace is real. I think love is real. I know wisdom is real. So I say these things to myself as I say them to you because I need to remember right along with you, you all. I hope this pause here, I wanted to say, and also notice how you know when you're not rooted into what's real. For me, I know it's comparison. That starts to show up for me. And scarcity starts to show up. And feeling like this whole world is going to destroy itself. And loneliness is another one for me. So what are those indicators for you that you're not rooted and grounded in what's real? And then what takes you back into that so that you can be rooted in your radiance and rooted into what's real? Connection is such a big part of it. The stronger we want together, we are so much stronger. And when we can open our hearts and understand that there's no them and us, this and that, there's no two sides. This is about wholeness. And so we start within ourselves first. So wherever this finds you right now, I hope this was supportive. Encourage you to really give this some thought, the mind, body, heart, and spirit, to really make a commitment, choose your time cycle for how this piece of replenishing your radiance and rooting into what's real. Have fun, play, do what feels pleasurable, have joy even in all of this. And stay awake, stay aware, be in conversation with your highest self. We'll be back next time to talk about some of those bigger questions around the meta piece and that can help with next phase on purpose. And I encourage you to share this with a friend. Share this with a friend so you all can be in support, just like I am with my friends that I've been sharing with all of you. And you can share these pieces and help each other have permission slips. So do share this with a friend, and then also try out the Spring Power Pause. Even if it's not spring, still totally relevant. You can use it for it's a great way to, it's a great simple process with an illustrated guidebook, and that's at springpowerpause.com. So springpowerpause.com, that's action number 1. 2, share this with a friend. And 3, if you have not, I would love to hear from you. I just want to say thank you to Heather, and there was one other person who posted that she'd been listening for 5 years into this podcast. I see both of you on Apple. I appreciate it. I'm like, is anybody out there listening? So it's really helpful to hear that. And all you have to do is go to your podcast app, go to the show, and if you scroll down, it'll say there's the stars. You can give a review and write it in, and just it helps other people find this. And the more that we can stay together, the better. So thank you all so much. Sending you off with so much love. Remember, you matter. And it is 100% okay to take care of what it is you need. Your light matters. We want it to stay bright. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Much love.